for UK and countries in Eastern Europe and Central Asia to debate, discuss and share perspectives on skills, entrepreneurship and employment in the 21st century. We're here today to debate whether universities do enough to prepare students for the world of work. I'm Helen Wester, British Council's Director of Education in Eastern Europe and Central Asia, and with me today we have a distinguished lineup of panellists from the UK, Kazakhstan and Serbia. Let's hear from them. Aaron, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name's Aaron Porter. I'm Director at an organisation in the UK, the National Centre for Universities and Business, and previously I was President of the National Union of Students, representing 7 million students in the UK.
Evgenia.
Hello everyone, my name is Evgenia Kim. I am the Director of the Career and Advising Center at Nazarbayev University, Kazakhstan. Welcome everybody.
Thank you, Evgenia. Miriam. Hello, Miriam.
Hello, my name is Miriam, and I'm a student at Nazarbayev University here, and currently I'm taking the position of President of the student government. Really nice to meet you all, and I hope that this discussion will be really productive. Thank you.
And Nicola?
Hi everyone, I'm Nikola Sadic from Novi Sad, Serbia. I'm a student of University in Novi Sad. At the same time, I'm a chairperson of Student Union of Serbia, the umbrella organization of student organizations in Serbia, and with that position I represent almost 300,000 students in Serbia, and also I hope this discussion will have some joint conclusions how to empower preparing students for future employment and employability.
Thank you everybody, and a warm welcome to you. I'm going to be asking our panelists today a series of questions, and we'd like you, the viewers and audience here, to post your questions on our chat space or send them to our Twitter using the hashtag See Into the Future. Firstly, I'd like to ask, in your opinion, do universities adequately prepare young people for the world of work? Aaron?
Yeah, overall I would say that universities, and I'm speaking here principally about the UK, really make a concerted effort to think about the employability of graduates, and I think it's been a particularly noticeable change in the last 5 to 10 years. I think students, particularly with the onset of higher tuition fees, have been thinking about their destinations after their study. The truth is that different subjects lend themselves to employability in slightly different ways, and also universities approach this in slightly different ways too. There are some universities here in the UK with very developed, very sophisticated both curriculum that relates to the world of work, but also broader employability services provided by the Career Service and others. And I'd also add that students' unions that support extracurricular activity, volunteering, the running of sports and media and societies are very important in the employability agenda too. So overall, I'd say that yes, universities by and large are doing a good job. Student expectations, I think, are continuing to rise, and I think the challenge going forward is to see whether universities can continue to match that expectation of students.
Mariam, thank you, Aaron. Mariam, what's your perspective on that? What's your view from Kazakhstan?
Generally speaking, yes, I would agree with Aaron on that for the last 5-10 years, the situation in Kazakhstan is also getting good, especially establishment of the Career and Advising Center in our university. It helps really for students to accommodate themselves for the future employment places. So lots of opportunities for the internships and career advising sessions help students to help students to promote themselves in the better place employment place.
Okay, and Nicola, what's the situation in Serbia in your view?
In Serbia, we have a problem with complete implementation of Bologna, and it is an issue that we are dealing with, also in process of preparing students for future employment. Also, universities are doing a very good job, but it's not everything up to universities, because we have some local faculties that are not doing such a great job, and a big role in the whole that process has student organizations that should have greater recognition in whole higher education system, and we student organizations will definitely improve. Continue improving possibilities and informations about possibilities to prepare students for future employment.
Okay, what about Yevgenia? You come at it from a very different angle as from the Careers Advisory Service. What's your view?
Thank you. It was quite interesting opinions that you have all presented. I would say Nazarbayev University has been striving for providing the best opportunities for the students of Nazarbayev University to increase the employability level. This is the reason why in 2012 the Career and Advising Center appeared at Nazarbayev University, and we started offering a quite wide range of opportunities for the students to be engaged in real-world practice. That is to say, internships, part-time jobs opportunities, professional development programs. I would say that Nicola was right in terms of this is not just about the university itself. The way we see the Career and Advising Center is to coordinate the efforts. The students, the community of the Nazarbayev University, as well as the external community outside of Nazarbayev University. And I think we have been pretty successful with it, setting cooperation with different organizations, organizing company presentations, etc. And the survey that we conducted this summer that was targeting the students of Nazarbayev University, we don't have graduates yet, and the potential employers have already showed that we are on the right track.
Well, that's very interesting, and certainly students are very much aware of the role of universities in helping them get better jobs in the future. In fact, in our own survey, which we ran over the last couple of weeks, 72% of students studying in the region who responded to our survey, and 84% of graduates from UK universities felt that future job prospects was an important consideration in considering choice of their institution. So with that in mind, and bearing in mind what you've just said, Yevgenia, you just talked about the importance of providing students with real life experience. In what other ways can universities improve young people's employability prospects? I'll take anybody to answer this question. If you'd like to raise your hand, please.
Well, I would say one. Okay.
Can we start with Aaron, Yevgenia?
Absolutely.
Aaron.
Great. I'll keep it brief, but a couple of practical suggestions. I think increasingly we need to think about how the curriculum, both in terms of content, but also in terms of assessment, reflects the world of work. It's very easy for universities to continue to use assessment practices that they've used for decades, and in some cases even centuries. So, you know, exam scripts in silence with pen and paper. But how about presentations or reports that reflect the challenges that employers of all sorts are using? So that would be one obvious example. I think a second that I would add is thinking about the way in which industry personnel, employees, can actually be put in front of students. the National Centre here in the UK undertook some research with students similar to the complementary to the work of the British Council, and the students were saying they wanted to hear from industry leaders. They wanted to hear from people that ran businesses and charities and worked for the government. And sometimes, if you just hear from academics, you'll get a very robust content, but maybe it's a little isolated from the world of work. So they're two practical examples I'd suggest.
That's very interesting. Yevgenia, what do you have to say on that one?
I cannot agree more with Aaron, and I would say from practical point of view, providing the students with an opportunity for internships that usually our students participate in during summertime due to very intense and robust program at Nazarbayev University during the academic year. And that's quite interesting that for the last 2 years since the existence of Nazarbayev University Career and Advising Center, we have had approximately 1,000 students who have been participating in internship programs. And I would say many of them have either changed the program or changed the major, and also realized that to some extent their expectations were not realistic, or their expectations were different compared to employers' expectations. And one of the things from practical terms again, we organize different kinds of field trips. And I emphasize it because I think when students are given an opportunity to be engaged in real environment, this is a very good chance for them to see themselves and their place in the real world. I hope I did answer the question.
I think you certainly did, and I think there are a number of really interesting things to pick up on there. I'm going to come back to internships in a little while because I think internships are critical to this debate. But I'd like to ask Miriam and Nicola now, in terms of this idea of getting industry employees in front of students, inviting them into universities, do you have any experience of this, or indeed any views on this? Miriam, would you like to start?
Like several days ago, in our university we had a job fair. So there we had chance to meet like different companies, different organizations, and we had a chance to speak to them. What kind of like vacancies do they usually have, and what is like the working conditions, their atmosphere. And it's quite a good experience. I mean, it was a huge success to have a job fair here, so students get involved like closely with their future employment places.
Okay, thank you. And Nicola, do you have any experience with this?
Organizing a job fair, because Student Union of Serbia is only national umbrella organization of all students organizations, and definitely local unions on local faculties do organize such events. But from my personal experience, I organized last year one event called Planet Earth Festival, and we had a lot of people from industry, from politics, from universities, so scientists, and I think pretty much all stakeholders in that field, and we made opportunity for students to make contact with people from all that sides, and I think it is very good model of making and creating possibilities for students. Some students got real job offers. The students that were in organizing committee. Some students just got new information about possibilities of internships and job offers. And I think it is really good model, and we will organize it definitely next year. And I think it has a big role in whole this process.
Well, lucky those students on the organising committee then, if they were offered the job. Moving on to internships, because everybody has mentioned those so far. How important are internships. Aaron, in your role, both current in the National Centre for Universities and Business and in your previous role as National President of the Students' Union in the UK, what's your view?
I think it goes without saying that work experience and internships are crucial. We've seen quite a reform to the way in which employers are selecting individuals leaving university. It might have been a few decades ago that simply having a degree was enough. Then a few years later it was having a degree and having some voluntary experience, being involved in the Students' Union or playing sport or running a student society. And now it seems you need both of those things and some work experience too. And work experience, I think, is particularly helpful for a couple of other reasons. Firstly, yes, it allows the employer to take a view of the individual, to see whether they are ready for the world of work, to see how they adapt and see how they fit in. But I think it's as important for the individual to take a view on whether it's the kind of employer that they like, it's the kind of organisation they feel a part of. A couple of other quick things I'll mention before handing on to others. The first is we need to make sure that access to work experience is as equitable and as fair as possible. Certainly in the UK, in certain industries like law, the media, journalism and creative industries, there is a feeling that there's too many unpaid work experience opportunities, so that only students from particular backgrounds, maybe that have family members that can pay for their accommodation and give them access. So we need to try and make sure that they're fair and equitable. And the second is we need to make sure that universities are doing more to ensure that students in some discipline areas where it wouldn't seem obvious what job you go into if you study English or history or philosophy, but you're given access to work experience in the same way that science students are and other physical science graduates.
Thank you. Now, that I think is a very, very interesting point. Should internships be paid? Nicola, do you have a view on that?
I think internships could be paid, and we have a lot of situations where internships are not being paid, and a lot of volunteer work and a lot of possibilities. But also we have a problem with recognizing a volunteer work, and in point of view of that paid internship, I think we don't have a lot of that kind of possibilities in Serbia. We have a situation with local faculties that have different kinds of agreements with companies. Some companies they owe, some companies they don't, because we have some faculties that create companies and possibilities for students to do that internship there. But I'm not sure. I don't think there is a lot of paid internships in that.
Okay, I think it's one that we're definitely going to pick up in the discussion tomorrow, where we're going to have some businesses online, and we can put to them why more of them are not paying young people to do internships. What's the situation currently like in Kazakhstan? Miriam?
Actually, like every university in Kazakhstan, they set a compulsory internship during the 4th year of studies for the students. However, all of these internships are not paid, and most of them are not monitored by their institutions. But in our universities, like we have lots of internship opportunities, and each student who goes to the industry, he is, how to say, he works with his supervisor there. So then supervisor gives feedback about the intern's work and how the internship has passed. But overall, for the whole Kazakhstan, I mean, the monitoring process of the interns' work and how to say, helping interns to get their working places for paid opportunities, it's not like so developed as in other countries.
Okay, well, I think it's definitely one we'll pick up tomorrow. I want to turn now to our audience and look at some of the questions coming in. Yevgenia, there's a question here from Turkey. Are there any tools that the universities are using to assess how they are doing to prepare young people for workplaces?
I would say this is a hypothetical, it will be a hypothetical answer so far because our first cohort of graduates will be in May 2015 only. So I would say that our experience will be based on the feedback from internships because none of the students have been employed yet. However, I would try to connect several questions that we were discussing before. Is that, you know, participating in internships will make our students more competitive. And this is the reason why if internship was successful and we received positive and constructive feedback from our on-site company where students took internship, this is one of the tools that we have been using recently. And we have conducted the survey that I referred to before, where we were surveying the potential employers, again based on our previous communication, especially related to participating in internships and their job fairs involvement. So I'm afraid these are the tools that we have been currently using.
Okay, sorry, carry on, do.
And I would say, since our students have been participating in numerous competitions that have been conducted by organizations, and currently the students have already received job offers. It might be since they have successfully passed the interviews and selection procedures for the companies. I would call it a tool too.
Okay, and so in terms of these job fairs then, how important, I know at Nazareth University, these are something that you have, that you attach importance to. In the UK, Aaron, are job fairs used very frequently by universities?
Yes, job fairs are incredibly prominent on UK university campuses. We get lots of examples of large numbers of employers coming and setting up stalls, and students can browse and speak to colleagues in much the way that I think Nicola described that he'd helped set up. Something that's becoming increasingly prominent too are thematic-based careers fairs and sort of displays where employers of particular sectors will kind of come together so that students, if they're particularly interested in working in, I don't know, environmental sciences or in law, will see lots of employers from that particular background. So yes, I think it is something that's common, both organised by the university and also sometimes organised by students themselves, either through the Students' Union or elsewhere.
Okay, thank you. And Nicola, in Serbia?
Now has a job fair in its campus or on local faculty. So organizations, student organizations do organize such fairs, I think, in most cases, but also, as I said, universities do organize such events, and they're now highly recognized as a place where you can get a lot of opportunities if you're a student.
Okay, so clearly job fairs are seen as important, and in fact the whole area of internships and work experience, in our own survey that we ran here in the last couple of weeks, 56% of respondents to our survey said that they had undertaken some kind of work experience at university. How important is it for the universities themselves to organise this experience, do you think? Miriam?
I think it's very important for universities because it first of all, it makes it easier the process of monitoring, like the future alumni of the university, and also it also helps to improve, how to say, the status of the university to have lots of like I don't know, internship opportunities, which makes it easier for the students to get hired in the future.
Okay. And Nicola?
I think it is a good thing because universities make stronger contact with students and do a lot of in point of visibility of universities. Because I think a lot of students come on their faculties, they're first grade students, and they don't know what universities are. They just make difference between different faculties, and I think it is a big basic problem.
Okay, but how frequently do universities actually organize internships for students? What about in Kazakhstan? Yevgenia?
I'm afraid I missed the beginning of the question, Helen. Could you repeat it, please?
That's fine. The question was really around the role of universities in setting up or organising internships for students. We know from a variety of research that has taken place that quite often students, or indeed their families, organise their internships or work placements while they're at university. My question is, what's the role of universities themselves in actually organising internship programs and work experience for young people?
Thank you for the question. I think that university plays a crucial role in this process, since the role of the university itself is to coordinate two target audiences. The first one is the students, including the community of the university, and the second one is companies and organizations outside. Our role is to, on behalf of the university, to initiate the internship process and give opportunities to students to offer a wide range of internship opportunities depending on the focus of their program, their personal interests, their expectations, whether internships are paid or unpaid, as well as for companies and organizations that have their expectations too. And we have to some extent to find this perfect match where two parties will achieve the best results possible. Moreover, for internships, it's very important to coordinate and monitor the process so that our students could receive the best experience ever. This is the reason why, especially for professional technical internships, it is important when the university appoints an internship supervisor who will be the part of the internship process from the very beginning till the very end.
Okay, thank you. Now, Aaron, I know that a number of UK universities pride themselves on their employability records and organise internships and work placements for students. How prevalent is that? How common?
Yeah, you're right to say that a number of universities do indeed try and take the lead in providing work experience, but you're also right to say that still in the majority of cases it's organised by the student or their family. At the National Centre for Universities and Business, we undertook some research of 4,000 students studying in the UK. Some were British and some were European and some were from outside of the European Union. And we found out that about 20%, so 1 in 5 placements and internships that were organised by the university. So that means that still about 80% is down to the individual.
Okay, so that's a lot still of onus on the individual, and I think it comes back, Aaron, to your point earlier about equality of opportunity within internships programs and how often, certainly in the UK and in my experience, wealthy parents can secure positions for their children that young people in other kind of socio or more disadvantaged socioeconomic groups would not have that kind of opportunity. Moving on to beyond internships and looking actually at employability skills per se, we have some questions coming up here. Should universities teach employability skills, and how can they do it? Let's start, actually, Yevgenia, would you like to start on this one?
Absolutely. I should not and cannot underestimate the importance of employability skills. We usually split the professional skills, let's call them this way, into hard skills and soft skills. And both types of skills are of utmost importance. The way we do it at the university, we have developed a professional development program that includes such topics as writing resume and cover letter, job hunting techniques, networking, public speaking, effective presentation that have been extremely popular among the students. We have also organized bi-weekly workshops. It's practically a 1-hour session where the students are given an opportunity to elaborate and to polish employability skills, like, for example, conducting mock interviews. And if you ask potential employers, in our case, about the importance of employability skills, they would definitely say, yes, we need it, and organizations should pay attention to it. This is the reason why another way to engage our students in real-life experience is to bring the representatives of the companies and organizations and have them come to the university and bring their knowledge and share it with the students. I think this is one of the best ways to do this. So this is the reason why, you know, company organizations can come with the company presentations or different types of workshops and seminars where they will emphasize not just the importance of the skills, but also how these skills are trained.
Okay, I think that's interesting. We're going to pick up a little bit more on this theme in a moment. But first of all, Nicola, from the point of view of Serbia and Serbian students, do universities teach employability skills, and how do they do it?
I think they do, and from I think last year they do it much more than they did it before. Center for Career Development is doing. Centers for Career Development are doing very good job there, because they organize a lot of trainings, particularly in these first 2 months of new school year. So now, as we are talking now, they have a lot of trainings organized in universities. So I think they're doing a lot. They have very good visible websites. So they have good information about that, possibilities about upgrading their skills. And we didn't see, as students, we didn't see a big difference between professional skills and some general skills, so like soft skills and networking and other skills that are very necessary in these times when employers are looking for people that will satisfy their needs, that will have a wide range of skills, not just professional skills and theoretical knowledge. And by socio-economic, we did some socio-economic explore. We did questionnaires for students in faculties, and we have we do it on every 4-year basis. So we got results that more than 50% of students don't think that they have proper knowledge needed for future employment. And in talking with employers, employers are really not satisfied with the ex-students and people that come out of universities, because they are not prepared well for business arena, and especially they know very little about legal regulations and laws in that particular field that they're studying for.
Okay, I think that's really interesting. We've got a very interesting comment coming in here on the Q&A. Natasha Portman says that when she did her internship, she spent her time only copying and preparing documents and didn't really learn much in terms of useful skills. And her view is that universities should do more to better prepare students beforehand and have programs working with industry, I assume, to actually look at what young people can do. Aaron, what's your view on that?
Yeah, I think Natasha's experience, unfortunately, is not an uncommon one. You know, we've spoken in good detail about access to work experience and internships, and clearly that's very important. But the issue of preparedness, how prepared an individual is to make the most of that experience, is important. And I'd argue that preparedness goes both ways. The student needs to know, you know, what's expected of them in the world of work, and this might sound as though it's really obvious, but turning up in a particular dress code, turning up on time, conversing with colleagues, adhering to the kind of the informal and formal rules of the workplace, it's really important that the student knows about that. But I'd also argue it's really important that the employer thinks about how they can make the most of having an extra pair of hands in the organisation. If they're just simply giving them menial tasks, which isn't really operating at graduate level, then I'd argue that they're missing out on the opportunity and potential that an extra pair of hands, often, not always, but often a very young, bright, enthusiastic mind can bring to a workplace. And that counts whether you're a small employer with just a small number of staff or a very big multinational company. So I think the point that Natasha makes is a useful one. Some universities do provide training for students, and some universities set out quite stringent checklists that employers must adhere to if they're going to take a student from that university. So things like feeding back to the university afterwards about how the student performed, making sure that they're taking on tasks that are sufficiently graduate level, not photocopying and so on. So all of those things are very important.
Okay, I think that's some really important points there. If you've just joined us today, I'm Helen Sylvester, and this is British Council's Seen to the Future online discussion about whether universities do enough to prepare young people for the world of work. We've heard today about the importance of internships, the importance of making those internships work by preparing students for the world of work a little bit better, but also for preparing employers better to help them accommodate young people and give them meaningful tasks that will benefit both the young people and indeed the employers. Another question we had earlier was...
Helen, I'm sorry for interrupting you. I still would like to add to Aaron's reply to Natasha's question. I think that's amazing that we have truly international experience here, and that's what I call globalization, because this is the same experience that students in Kazakhstan have too. And I would like to ask Natasha to think about it deeper and go further. You know, even copying and preparing documents require lots of skills and efforts, and you should be good at it too. It will also depend on how you consider it, because if you have expertise in preparing documents, you know, this is a good sign. And of course, you know, it's a daily routine. You should be prepared that when you go to a place of work, do not expect that you will be having fun every day. This is something to keep saying to the students too. Thank you.
Well, I think some of us around this virtual table would perhaps agree with that. What I'd like to ask, Natasha asks other students out there, if you're watching, what your experience of internships was. Do you agree with Yevgenia that actually photocopying and preparing documents can be a very, very useful skill? What's your experience? What are your views? Tell us now. Post a comment, ask a question on our live chat or through our Twitter. Hashtag see into the future. We have a question from Bonnie Lowe. Going back to actually Nicola's point about skills that universities can teach young people, in addition to things like being able to prepare for interviews and work-related skills, what do you think about the importance of life skills after graduation? So the importance of more general life skills. Nicola, you called them soft skills. They're sometimes called transferable skills. Miriam, what's your view? Do universities have a role in helping you develop those broader life skills and soft skills?
I think those skills can be, how to say, learned by students during the study process. I mean, yes, of course, there must be like some trainings on how to develop your networking skills, like other soft skills, transferable skills. But generally speaking, students themselves must, how to say, must be eager to learn those skills within the study process. Of course, like only those students who are, how to say, doing something, want to achieve something in the future, they are working on their own skills, developing their, fostering their skills, starting from today. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So studying skills you think are very important. Aaron, what's your take on this one?
I think it's a question of providing the right balance in terms of skills. I mean, I think there's been a long sort of discourse about making sure that there are obvious employability skills that graduates can have, and I think that's moved on slightly. I think things like team working and communication and so on are important, but almost again taken for granted. I think we're starting to hear things from employers in relation to intercultural awareness and being able to work in international teams being increasingly important. So I think individual attributes are important, but also thinking about teams both locally, nationally, internationally, increasingly important.
Thank you very much. And those are things that we'll definitely be picking up on tomorrow. If you join us tomorrow, we're live on air at 1 o'clock Turkey time, 11 o'clock UK time. I think that's 5 o'clock Kazakhstan time. And if you're somewhere else, somewhere in the middle, where we will be talking to employers and students about what employers are looking for in graduates and what graduates can do to help develop their skills. Now we have another question, and I'm really sorry, questioner, but your name is in Cyrillic, and my Cyrillic, actually I have a colleague here. I've got a lovely assistant who's going to read your name for me. Igor Isakov. Igor, maybe you're from Russia, maybe you're from a Russian-speaking country. Do you think, Igor asks, do you think it's important for industry to participate in accreditation of academic programs at universities or colleges? Who would like to take that one? Anybody? Yevgenia, would you like to take that one?
Yes, absolutely.
Evgenia, can you turn your mic on? We can't hear you. Evgenia?
I think that it is extremely important for industry to be the part of the academic process, because we have been discussing for a long time about the balance between theory and practice, and basically this is the answer to the question. I think that industries should be engaged as much as they possibly could in the academic process by participating in creating and designing academic program, probably teaching the courses. Again, we should not underestimate internships, and definitely industry should be involved in assessment of students' performance. Yes. So my answer is yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Evgenia. And from a student's perspective, Nicola and Miriam, can I ask you, how would you feel if employers were involved in the assessment of students' performance throughout the year? Nicola, what's your take on that?
I think it is really important thing, and I think it should be implemented in process of assessment of students' performance, because I think they know the best what is the need of employer itself. So universities should find a way to do it, and particularly my university, University of Novi Sad, did some steps in that direction. They made a lot of contracts with different representatives of industry to start a process like this. They had joint fairs like education fair. So I think they're aware of that, and it's very good.
Okay, and Miriam?
And I want to add that usually, like in those universities which have like credit-based internship system, so at that time, like industries might have an opportunity to assess like students' performance during the internship, and afterwards it can go at the for the GPA. For example, if a student performs well during the internship, so if like employer gives a good feedback, so he gets a higher grade. But if it's not, so low grade. So it somehow also motivates both the student and the industry to work and cooperate together.
Okay, I think that's interesting. Aaron, from your perspective, is this something that the National Centre for Universities and Business in the UK is encouraging employers and universities to work together on?
Yeah, I think there's different levels to which this sort of collaboration is helpful and appropriate. And I think clearly most courses are originating from content which is heavily derived by academics. Increasingly, businesses are offering a perspective about how they might like to contribute. We have, for instance, seen the first FTSE 100 company in the UK setting up their own college entirely, the Pearson Group that owns the Financial Times and lots of publishing of both books and textbooks. So we're seeing an interesting time for the extent to which there are some universities and businesses working together both on content and on accreditation. And then we're also seeing some interesting examples of businesses perhaps doing stuff on their own too.
That's very interesting, and it goes back to an earlier question actually from Alec in Serbia, who asked about modern apprenticeships in the UK. And I think if we're looking in a university context, we're really looking at higher apprenticeships here and the role of universities and businesses working together to provide that opportunity for young people. Could you comment on the state of those in the UK? Share a little bit about that.
Yeah, there's been a huge focus in the last 5 years, possibly 10 years, to develop and increase both the quality and quantity of higher apprenticeships in the UK. As you're probably, as people will know, the employer input in terms of the content and in terms of the work-based nature of apprenticeships are heavily influenced by employers. There's been some suggestion that it has lacked some of the academic rigour that you'd expect from a university or college-based course. So it's not universally welcomed, the higher apprenticeships, but we are seeing an increase in their provision and their take-up. So I suspect we'll see a sort of a mixed economy between university courses and higher apprenticeships.
That's really interesting. I'm moving on now. We've got about 10 minutes of our discussion left, and I'm moving right into your territory here, Yevgenia. And I'm going to ask about the quality of careers guidance. I'm sure in your university it's superb. What would you like to say? What makes quality careers guidance in your view?
I think this is
Oh, have we lost Yevgenia? No, she's back.
I think this is quite important to know the expectations of both internal and external audiences. We should know the expectations of students, and we know the expectations of industries, companies, and organizations, so that we, as a purpose and as our mission, to have these expectations match. This is the ideal combination in order to make our services high quality and to do our job as effective as it is possible. This is the reason why we see this communication between the students and the organizations crucial in this process. Since the services of the Career and Advising Center have been provided for a relatively short amount of time, it is very important for us to know the feedback, and in our case, the most significant phase will be May 2015, when we will have our first cohort of the students. Our purpose is to have at least 90% of the students being landed in both either graduate admission or employment.
Okay, thank you. And perhaps, Mariam, perhaps you could respond there and give Yevgenia a little bit of feedback of your experience of the careers guidance provision in Nazarbayev. How has it been useful to you?
Oh, I'm the third year student here at Nazarbayev University, and already I have an opportunity to make 2 internships. I mean, after the first year and after the second year by the Career Advising Center. So, generally speaking, it was like 4 weeks, double internships, like in total 8 weeks. So, the organization of the internship itself was really good. I mean, we gave feedback for the industry where I was hired for 8 weeks, and they also, how to say, send the feedback about us to our supervisors here at Nazarbayev University. And also, we were attached to a special supervisor in that industry, and that supervisor helped us to go throughout our internships. For example, my supervisor was really good at explaining the company structure, how to deal with different situations, and he always helped me to do the research in the right way. Especially, I was working in the National Party of Kazakhstan, a Democratic Party. So it was a quite good experience. I really value it.
Okay, thank you. Nicola, in our survey, 51% of students felt that the careers guidance they got at university could have been much better. So the majority of students felt that it could have been much better. What's your view?
I went to just one that kind of training course here on our universities, of our university, and I think they're really well organized. But I see very few students on each course, and I think it is not students are not properly informed about those courses. Although they have website and they have social media and they do that kind of raising visibility, but I think it's still not enough, and it is the main issue about using the possibility that with informing about the existence of same possibility. So itself it was good organized, but not very visible from my experience.
Okay, and Aaron, in the UK, what's your take on the state of careers guidance at UK universities?
I think the provision in universities isn't too bad. I mean, students overall are reasonably positive. I think some of the experiences from colleagues elsewhere are pretty similar to what we have in here in the UK. I think the suggestion would be that perhaps careers advice and guidance in the school system here in the UK is not as strong as it could be. Universities in comparison stack up fairly well. That said, students are not always using the career services in the volumes that they used to. They're relying on social media, and they're relying on the internet, sometimes to complement what's going on in career services. And career services are thinking about how they can use those resources to bring in to what they're providing too.
Okay, thank you. We're coming to the last 5 minutes of our discussion today. Before I ask each of you to sum up your thoughts on whether universities do enough to prepare students for the world of work. As you know, next week we have our major conference, Seeing to the Future Astana. It will take place in Astana, in indeed Nazarbayev University, on the 18th and 19th of November. You can go to your local British Council website and enrol for the conference now. Panelists, we'll have major senior policymakers and university and business leaders at that conference. What's your message to them? What would you like to say to them? Anybody can take that if you raise your hands. Aaron.
Well, I'll be there, so I'll get the chance to say it in person. But I think my one remark would be, I think universities are taking this seriously, and so are governments, but they're thinking in quite national terms in many senses. And I think one of the great exciting opportunities we've got in this conference in Astana is thinking, how can there be cross-national collaboration in relation to the employability agenda? I don't want British students or students studying in the UK just thinking about working in the UK. They should be thinking about working not just in the UK but internationally, and I guess the same should apply for other countries. So how can there be a bit more international cooperation is perhaps the remark I'd make.
Okay, certainly, and I think that's again another one that we'll pick up tomorrow in our discussion. Yevgenia, what will you be saying to colleagues next week?
Well, first of all, I would like to say how happy we are to host such an event at Nazarbayev University. And I will be looking forward to having more intense and robust discussions with the participants. And I would encourage all of us to think more about the efforts that we will have to take to prepare our students for the higher employability rates, and not to stop and keep the edge, because one of the important things in such a changing world is to understand what the trends are and to be in trends with the things that are going on, to be always on the way to improve what we are having. And it's a great opportunity for us to share our experience and to gain international experience as well, and to take into consideration the best practices. So this is the message that I'm having, to be on the way and keep being on the way to improve what we have been doing.
Thank you very much. And students in our panel, one thing from you that you would like to say next week. Mariam.
Oh, I would also definitely agree with Evgenia and Aaron, and thank you very much for having this discussion online. And I just want to add that it would be good to provide an access to database or access to metadata where the vacancies in the leading organizations and companies will be, how to say, shown, because not always, like, I'm speaking in terms of the Kazakhstan, so not always like all organizations and companies, how to say, show their availability of vacancies. It's just my personal suggestion.
Okay, thank you. And very quickly, Nicola, one thing that you would like to say next week?
So engage in process of improvement of higher education and preparing students for future employment. It will empower whole society and business sector itself, although also with higher education process.
All right, thank you very much. I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have time for. Thank you very much, Aaron. Thank you very much, Mariam. Thank you, Nicola and Yevgenia. Thank you, viewers, for joining us today. This has been the British Council's Seeing to the Future online discussion on whether universities do enough to prepare young people for the world of work. Join us tomorrow at 1 o'clock Turkey time, 11 o'clock UK time, 12 o'clock Central European time and 5 o'clock Kazakhstan time to talk to businesses about what they're looking for in students. Thank you very much indeed. Bye-bye.
Thank you.